Hello, my name's James. I'm a portrait photographer from Portsmouth in the UK. You've probably not heard of me, and I welcome you to this, my latest video, a little bit of a Christmas special. I've just gone back through the last 12 months of photographs that have been uploaded to my Instagram feed, and we've had a look at them in terms of the engagement on the photos, and also had a look at the ones that I really like. And I've got it down to a top 10 of sort of images that I've shot this year, and I just want to share them with you today and maybe take a little bit of a deeper dive into why I like them so much and what made them sort of popular online, I suppose. So a little bit of information there for you, really. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to start off with image number 10, which is here, this is Aubrey from AEW in refereeing the match between Hangman Page and Chris Jericho at All Out, the very first AEW Heavyweight Championship match. Aubrey's like a really positive presence to be around. So the few times that I've been sort of at a show and Aubrey's been there as well, she's like one of my go-to people just to sort of like make me feel welcome and to sort of cheer me up, which is really cool. She's got such positive energy around her. It's just really infectious. She was the referee for this match, and what I think was really interesting and cool about that is that she was just the referee for the match. Like, it was like no sort of agenda, no big deal, nothing sort of made of it out of the ordinary, other than the fact that because she's such a good referee that she thoroughly deserved it. And I think that was, I thought that was really cool. This is towards the end of the match, towards the end of the show, just taken from underneath the bottom rope. I think Hangman Page got a real close 2 count, nearly a 3 count on this one, and just Aubrey's reaction is just picture perfect. So perfect, in fact, that the next day Hangman Page decided to place this within the golden sort of rule of thirds, just to prove what a thoroughly brilliant image it was, which which pleased me, pleased my modesty no end, obviously. But I just love the reaction. I love everything about it. I love the placement of everything within that frame. And it's just such an iconic shot for me. I just really appreciate it, and I really like it. I wish I'd got a bit more of the guys behind, but it's difficult to get up high and get the perfect angle, particularly when things are happening in the moment. Moving on, this is an image I shot earlier in the year at Riptide Wrestling. I actually shot this image of ELP, El Phantasmo, in a church, believe it or not. I have been invited back since. I didn't expect to be invited back after shooting this and uploading it. What can I say about it? It's a 2-light setup, shot on ISO 100, 160th of a second at around about f11. We've used complementary colours to make El Phantasmo really stand out, and I think that's the thing that stands out most about this picture, is actually the use of colour within it to harmonise the image in a really perfect way and really create a simplistic portrait, really simplistic sort of character portrait, I think. And I think that's why a lot of the fans liked it and shared it online. I think that's probably the thing they were keying into. So I'm glad that message got across. Image number 8 is from WrestleGate, a new company here in the UK based in Nottingham, and this is Huertas on his way to the ring. I was working on my own at ringside at these shows and had pretty much a free reign because nothing was streamed and nothing was streamed live, so you get sort of like a free reign in terms of like where you want to go, really. I think this was on his way out after the match, if memory serves. He just had an absolute barn burner of a match. It was just just 2 blokes just knocking 7 bells out of each other and leaving it all in the ring. And he sort of came out to the ring, and I thought, I'll get a nice shot of him from low down here, maybe get a nice shot of him sort of looking off to the crowd, or a nice one of him going back up to the ramp. And then he reached out to the camera just like this on a nice wide angle. I didn't know that this was something that he just did. I didn't know that this was his pose and this was his gimmick and this was his thing. And I genuinely thought he's quite an intimidating man, you know, nearly 7 foot and quite, you know, quite a presence really about him. And I thought I was in a bit of trouble. I thought he was going to take my camera off of me because I'm still nervous when I shoot ringside. I'm still worried, and I genuinely thought this is the one. This is the time, and someone's just going to grab my camera and slam it on the floor, and I'm going to have to suck it up. But no, he just did this little reach out. I managed to capture it, nice wide angle, and that look straight down the barrel of the lens is really cool. Next up is image number 7. This is a slightly unconventional image, really. It's a ring entrance image from an unconventional show down at Riptide Wrestling in Brighton. They had the open air theatre for an entire day on a bank holiday weekend and ran 2 shows that day. Bright blazing sunshine. It was so hot. It was so hot that day. Even by non-British standards, I think it was hot. Kourin Noir was wrestling in this match and just had this beautiful, subtle sort of ring attire with this lace going over the face. And these concrete pillars formed the entranceway where they would just sort of come in from behind. And I remember in this blazing sunshine, the crowd went super quiet for his Black Swan entrance. And because of the placement of the sun and how powerful it was that day, you've got these really strong shadows. So not only have you got the shadow here of the concrete pillar sort of looking like a doorway that Kourin Noir is stepping out of, but you also have the shadow of the cameraman on the left-hand side with the gimbal sort of giving that impression of as to what's waiting for him. So without seeing the crowd, without seeing the ring, without seeing anything else around it, you can build a picture in your mind up as to what story we're trying to tell here and what's actually going on. And I like the simplicity, simple black and white conversion, and those concrete pillars were just so unique. It was a real pleasure to shoot those. This is image number 6. We go back to Riptide Wrestling again. Spike Trivet crowned champion here with his new lackey, his new general in his army of Money versus Everybody. This is Paul Robinson. Paul's one of, I've spoken about Paul before, but Paul's one of the most photogenic people. I've shot one of my absolute favourite images from this project is of Paul Robinson covered in blood. And what we've tried to do here is we've tried to have a sort of like a political representation of class structure. And I know that sounds really artsy-fartsy to sort of say that, but it's kind of what we were going for. It's a really low angle that the portrait's shot at. You as a viewer are in quite a submissive position here. Spike's behind, being guarded by his henchman there, by the man Paul in front. Paul's stripped off, so he looks, intimidating, muscular, and he's reaching out towards the camera, and he's completely protecting Spike behind him. And Spike is, the guy's the champion. He's got all the gold. He looks very smart, and he's got that horrible grin on his face. What's also interesting is we use quite a high main light on that one, so Spike has no sort of detail in his eyes, which means they've gone quite dark and quite sinister. And that highlight is sort of spread down to Paul as well. But just a real simple, if you've ever involved yourself in British politics at any point over the last sort of 9 years, you'll know what we're sort of trying to sort of say with that photo. But just two absolutely fantastic characters within British wrestling, and just a pleasure to capture them both there. Image number 5 here is quite a special image. It's of Jimmy Havoc. It's one of my most viewed images online this year. What we tried to do is we tried to marry up two pop culture references here from professional wrestling and also the Fallout game. Now, Fallout New Vegas is one of my favourite computer games ever. I think I've spent so long playing it, and it was just one of the first games that really got me into playing games on the PS3. I've lifted the quote from the game directly. We did a quick search online to find the font and to marry that up and to place everything in and just to make it look like it's from one of the screenshots of the actual game. And then we've actually taken Jimmy out into the Nevada desert. We've actually taken him after we shot the event in Las Vegas. We went to go and check out Hoover Dam and go and see if we could find the Grand Canyon and just sort of have a day out really, which was really cool. And it was wonderful to sort of get to spend time with one of my best friends in wrestling for the day. Because the thing is, you get sort of moments like that in your life are really rare, where sort of perfect storms happen. And when someone I've worked with quite closely on the British independent wrestling scene has his big sort of breakout moment in terms of being able to wrestle at a show in front of sort of 10,000 plus people in Las Vegas, it doesn't happen that often. And it's even more unlikely that I would be there in attendance as well. So this was kind of like a really cool celebratory day, and I'm glad that we got to take 5 minutes out. It's bloody windy this, when we had to take this. So I had to hold the light with the softbox in one hand and sort of shoot with the other, and then we're deliberately sort of shooting on a wide angle lens. But that's all genuine landscape behind us, the genuine clouds as they were on the day. It's just a simple kicker light just in there, and then just marry it up with Fallout. Then you get sort of computer game fans liking your image as much as wrestling fans. If you're using your social media profile to only reach out to wrestling fans and only post wrestling pictures to wrestling fans, your reach is only going to go so far. So if you can cross-pollinate, I suppose, with other genres, then you're more likely to get more likes and more followers, and hence more business. Next one, number 4, is from All Elite Wrestling Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. This is Moxley. This is just after he's sort of thrown Kenny Omega off the big stack of chips, and he's posing there, and it's after the event's gone dark, so the live feed is cut, and I've just raced from ringside all the way up the ramp stood next to the video camera guy who'd been working with all night and just took this shot here. It's got the branding behind, which is really, really super important for sort of like a corporate point of view, really, in terms of branding the event. It was obviously a huge surprise that Moxley is going to be sort of part of All Elite Wrestling. So just literally 2 minutes before, just made his surprise entrance to a rapturous sort of ovation, really. And then I remember this after all of the aggression of throwing Kenny Omega out and doing his thing to camera and doing all these kinds of things. After the event went dark, he spent maybe 30 seconds on top of these chips just looking out to the fans, looking out to all the people who were cheering for him, and if you've seen his promos about why he sort of left WWE and now why he's part of AEW, you'll realise why maybe this expression and this moment and him sort of clutching the heart in his chest with both hands means so much. There's a little bit, a little bit of subtext in there, I suppose, but also a little bit of reality. And all best portraits tell a story that's fundamentally based in reality, makes them more believable and just makes them more special, I suppose. So image number 3 is the wonderful Shazza McKenzie, who had come to visit me a couple of weeks before she was announced for All Elite Wrestling, which was really, really cool. So I got to know her a little bit there and then got to say hello to her backstage at show. And this was during the Rumble. Rumbles are just like the casino or the casino battle royale. They're just such hard work to shoot because you just don't know where anything's going and you just don't want to get in the way. And this one particularly, I think, was on first. Or second, it was an early one in the show. So like after about 4 or 5 matches, you start to find a sort of little bit of a rhythm working ringside. First, you haven't got your rhythm at all, and you're working with all sorts of different people, and you have all sorts of different restrictions on you as well. So it's difficult to find your feet, really. But just this one, I knew that she was going to do this pose, and I was under the bottom rope, so I was ready just to get that for her. I just wanted to get a shot for Shazza of her alone in that ring doing a pose, because I knew that would mean so much with all the branding and all the crowd in the background. So the frame before this is just wonderful. It's just a lovely little shot of her just doing that. And then I didn't even know this was going to happen. Out of nowhere, Britt Baker just kicks her head off. And then this became a meme overnight, and then it became a t-shirt, which I think is really, really cool. But yeah, just a lovely little moment. And yeah, I think everyone can relate to moments like that in their life. Number 2, this one got a huge amount of reaction for when I posted it on Instagram, and just a lot of love and a lot of people talking about it as well. So I love it when people leave messages about my photos online. I like the dialogue. Because what a photo means to me might mean something completely different to someone else, and I love hearing what other people's thoughts and opinions and stories and what other people take from my photographs. That means that it's really resonated, and it's just really rewarding to me, and it gives me a different perspective on my photography as well. So it means that I'm constantly learning and constantly doing different things. This was shot backstage at the event. Arn Anderson had just done a round where he sort of said hello to Cody, and then said hello to a few of the other guys sort of at ringside, and was telling a few stories, and everyone that he met, and I particularly remember Nick Jackson, they just became fans again, and just became like, really, it was just really lovely to see. You just saw the fronts drop, and as Arn sort of did the pro thing, the time-honoured thing of just going around and shaking everyone's hand. And as he took a break in the seated area in the empty arena, I just sort of went up to him and just said, "Oh, look, just a huge fan." He was so lovely and polite, and he was I always get worried and nervous that that it's not going to be a positive experience from experiences in the past, but Arn was an absolute gentleman. And then after he'd spoken to me, he got up, and Kenny was just there, and they just exchanged these words, and it's just a lovely moment. And when I was growing up, I was a huge Pink Floyd fan, and I collected all the Pink Floyd records. And the handshake from the Wish You Were Here album just reminds me of that, when this moment happened, and when I saw it, when I downloaded it to my computer, it just reminded me of that. And I thought I aspired so much as a teenager with Storm Thorgerson's art around Pink Floyd and all the photography around Pink Floyd as well. I used to just consume all of the CD and the LP artwork. I just consume it all. And I remember seeing that photo of the handshake, just thinking, well, how was that done? And where was it done? And I just aspired to always want to do something that was just, even like just in the same stratosphere as that, not even close to it. And then lo and behold, a couple of decades later, you get the opportunity to shoot this image, and then it mirrors something that inspired you in the past. And it's just weird the way that certain things work. But I just love the connection here. It's the old meeting the new, and a show of respect. And it's just a very simple image. It's not the greatest lighting in the world. It's not it's not anything, but it's not set up. And I go back to my previous point. It is real, and real sort of works, I suppose, which is good. And this leads me to image number one. Unquestionably the best match I've ever been ringside for. And it was probably going to be in most people's shortlist for match of the year. But I mean, it was just, Cody and Dustin just told a story that I just remember being ringside and just thinking, this is flying by. And it was so engaging and so wonderful. And then they had the reconciliation in the ring, and I just got this moment of them both walking back up the ramp. Cody's boots all covered in blood there, and just a little hug together, and the fact that you can't see their faces, which I think helps tell the story a little bit more, just these brothers in arms. And I remember sharing a message with Dustin about how when I got back into wrestling, it was when I was sort of 19, and I stayed up to watch Canadian Stampede in 1997, and it was the 10-man tag, was the tag match that got me back into wrestling. The match that pitted the Hart Foundation against, Shamrock, Austin, Legion of Doom and Goldust. And I'm like, I just said to him, I said, this event, it's weird for me because I got to photograph, unbeknownst to me, I got to photograph Bret Hart in the ring at this event holding the new title. I got to photograph, Road Warrior Animal and be around his presence backstage. And then I got to witness this match and photograph Dustin, Rhodes, and the fact that those people who were part of my favourite match ever, 10-man Canadian Stampede, 10-man tag, it's still my favourite match. And the fact that they were all there and part of this event that I was lucky enough and fortunate enough and honoured enough to come along and photograph just meant so much. And this shot here, I think this was the match that really made the point that AEW wasn't messing about, and it was a match that anyone can enjoy because it tells such a good story, and that's what Cody and Dustin are so good at. So the future's very, very bright with both of them involved. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you think I've missed any off, if you like my work and you've seen it online and you think I've missed any off, let me know what they are in the comments, which ones you like. If you want to buy something, there may not be many available. I know we're down to single figures now, but I've got a Kourin Noir book, which we'll sign for you and we'll send out to you. You can go to portraitofawrestler.com/store. If you like independent wrestling merch, you can buy some at wetheindependent.com/shop, and you can listen to our podcast. We're dropping a Christmas podcast there this week, which should use the vocal talents of Sugar Dunkerton, Session Moth Martina, Spike Gervais, to name but a few, to do something different with that podcast there. But for now, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe on the channel. You can follow me on the Instagram and the Twitter at Y2JimBob, and as ever, all the very best.